Hey everyone, Luke Durdin here, and today I'm going to be taking you through the creative process behind this still life painting here. This is a still life painting of my wife's dry bouquet from our wedding a few months back. So if you're interested in the color mixing process, the sketching, and the overall painting process, as well as the finished varnishing, stay tuned, and without further ado, let's get started. So this painting is going to be a painting from life, and to give you an idea of what I'm looking at trying to accomplish, this is a photo reference I took. So now that I'm happy the way that the still life is set up, we can begin by staining the canvas. So now that the canvas is dry and ready to mount, I square it all up and mount it to my easel board and then attach it. So now that the canvas is mounted and ready to go, it is now time for me to mix and organize my palette for painting. The colors I'll be using are titanium white, cadmium yellow medium, cadmium red light, alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue, burnt umber, and ivory black. Because I set up my palette before I actually start painting, it's really important for me to organize what colors I'm actually mixing for. So that's why I use this label maker here. So my palette's ready to go, and now it's time to get my sketch in. The sketching tools I'll be using is a white chalk pencil and a proportional divider. The reason I use a white chalk pencil is that it shows up really well on this stained canvas, as well as it's very easy to erase any mistakes that you make. A proportional divider helps me get my, as you can imagine, proportions in check. And if you're interested on that, I can make a separate video later explaining how to use that tool. During the sketching process, I'm not looking to capture all the little detail. As you can see, it almost looks like I'm doing outlines here. I'm mainly trying to capture the proportions and relationships between all the different aspects of this painting. Alright, so now it's time to start painting. I'm going to begin this painting by blocking in the main object of this painting, that being the bouquet, and start from the background and work my way towards the foreground, beginning with a darker value, in this case almost a pure ivory black, and working our way up higher into the value scale, of which you'll see is more of a gray. So my main goal for this painting was not to be hyper-realistic. I'm not trying to catch every little leaf and every little petal. My goal was to be impressionistic and painterly with it. So as you're going to start to see, I'm not going to try and capture every little detail that's in there. I'm going to sort of let the abstraction and the brushwork fool the eye into thinking there's more detail there than there actually is. As I get to these two areas of dried grass, you'll see that I'll switch to a fan brush. What this allows me to do is not get caught up in the detail. So instead of painting each individual blade of grass, I'm able to manipulate the fan brush into appearing like I painted every individual strain of grass. Once the painting is done, I'm going to leave it and come back to it the next day and look at it with a fresh set of eyes and see if there's anything that stands out that I need to fix. Once I feel like everything is where it needs to be, that's when I will sign it. So here's the completed painting. We have a little bit more to do before this is 100% ready, but for the next week or so, we're going to allow this to dry completely before I go on with the finishing steps. So in just under 2 weeks, this painting is fully dried and ready to be handled, and the next thing we're going to tackle is these edges here. As you can see, they're not the most aesthetically pleasing thing to look at, so we're just going to put a very opaque layer of ivory black on there to clean them up. Now this is a totally optional step, and this is really only necessary if you're going to be hanging a canvas without a frame. So all I'm going to do here is just take some painter's tape and outline the top of the canvas here. Even though this is a really easy step to do, I do want to make sure that my edges are firmly pressed down so I don't have any sort of bleeding from the paint I'm adding to the edges, as that could affect the top finish of this canvas. Now, taking advantage of it being acrylic based, it dries really quickly. So after about 30 minutes to an hour, I prep my surface so that I can have my painting laying face down so I can attach the hanging hardware on the back. So just measuring to make sure my hardware is going to be even on both sides, and then attaching the braided cable. Now you might be wondering what that strange looking wooden piece on the back of my canvas is. That is a hook made for a wall easel that you'll see very shortly. Alright, and now it's time for the most rewarding part of this whole process, the varnishing. I'll be using a gloss varnish as well as a foam disposable brush. And this is where that hook comes in handy with my wall easel, where this will be its last drying session to allow this varnish to fully dry. And here is the completed painting. I want to thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, don't forget to leave a like and a comment. And if you're interested in seeing more content and staying up to date, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.